Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
I'm Scott.
I'm John.
Oh, wait. We're married.
What happened?
I brought my arm up early.
Oh, no.
What's going on? Hi, everybody.
Sorry. I want to get some knitting out. So I want to knit on something while we're podcasting.
While we're talking?
Yeah.
Okay, we're a knitting podcast.
We are.
Which is about knitting and other stuff. And it's also about Angela Lansbury movies. And yeah, so we literally are just a YouTube show that talks about knitting.
That is true.
And other stuff.
And other stuff, but mostly knitting.
Mostly knitting.
Yeah.
Which my boss brought up. I'm applying for a new job at work, and I'm actually applying for my boss's job. She's retiring, and she led the interview, and she brought it up.
Oh, really?
In the interview. Because
was it in terms like Scott is especially qualified for the job because he has a YouTube knitting channel?
No, because there was a physician in the interview, and he said, well, I know that we've both worked at the same organization for a long time, but I don't feel like I know you.
Okay.
And so I was like, well, I'm originally from Georgia, and then I launched into reading my resume, basically, or just going down my resume, which I knew that's not what he wanted, but it's like I couldn't.
And my biggest weakness is I care too much sometimes.
I couldn't stop and then I stopped myself, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm going through my resume. I know that's not what you asked, and then I said, well, I like to read, and you know, I have a couple book clubs that I'm in, and Sandy's like, and he has a YouTube show.
Oh,
I was like, oh, God, thanks, Sandy. So, I mean, it was good. I mean, afterwards, she's like, I felt so bad. I shouldn't have done that. And I was like, no, you totally, I'm not embarrassed. It's just, it's kind of a weird thing to bring up randomly to a physician on a job interview.
Right. Well, it's not like we...
She was just like, it's a big part of your life. And I was like, yes, it is.
It is. And it's, nothing that... I don't think we say much on this podcast that would disqualify you from being a job.
Right. All right. Okay. So
much better.
Because John is insecure, he just had to adjust
I am not.
his seat.
I was in the right height, and
you
it felt odd.
You are like 4 or 5 inches taller than me, so I get to be taller at least once. All right. So there are a few things from...
Do you have an outline?
I have an outline. There are a few things from last week's episode that I wanted to go through, just some questions that people had. What is so funny?
Just the fact that you got your outline.
I've done that before.
I know, it's just funny.
Okay.
You said so Scott was like, I'm going to prep for the podcast for a little bit before I got started, and I guess that's what you did.
That's what I did. So the first thing is, last time we mentioned that we have a concert. Our chorus has a concert coming up. Mm-hmm. We're in the Twin Cities Gay Men's Chorus. John is the chair of the board of directors. I'm just a lowly singing member, although I've held... positions in the past, but I'm smart enough not to be in leadership. So what was I going to say about that? Oh, so we mentioned that we're having a concert and it's going to be on YouTube. Lots of people were like, oh, how do I access it and all that? So I'm thinking that the best thing to do would be the episode, so it's premiering on December 19th, although you'll be able to watch it after that,
yeah,
right?
Anytime. Yeah, it's not a live thing, it's a kind of a recording.
Right, but there'll be a premiere on the 19th.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So what we'll do is whatever episode we do that's closest to December 19th, we will post, because basically, we'll start posting the link to the concert as soon as we have it in our show notes.
Yep.
And then we'll probably put it out on Instagram, too.
Sure.
Which is SweetTeaNoShade or...
John Asbury.
So we'll make sure that people have... We don't have... The link doesn't exist yet.
No, it does not. It's still being created.
Yeah. And so we did some videoing today I'm in a couple quartets, and they're one thing, if any of you have ever been to a gay men's choir concert, it's half serious music and half shenanigans. At least ours are. Ours are. And so there's some carols that are done, and they're called the pandemic carols. And so I was selected to be in both of those. And so I had mentioned before that I have a solo in one of them. It's not a good solo. It's not particularly good.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's not what I would want my big debut to be, for people to hear my voice for the first time. But the problem was that I was singing. First of all, it's comedic. Second of all, I was singing up, and it was written for a bass, and I'm a first tenor, so I was singing it up an octave, and it was on the higher side. So anyway,
It sounds fine.
it sounds fine. And so the couple other things. So your birthday,
Yes.
we talked about last time. Since then, you've gotten some fun gifts.
I have. I will be showing them off.
I thought you ordered stuff.
There are
Yes.
other gifts.
Oh, that's right. There are other gifts, which they can't see because it's behind your water
That's because
glass.
me a reveal.
Oh, okay. But one person asked, because a couple people mentioned, there was one woman who mentioned that she lived just over the border from where we were.
Oh, nice.
Which is cool. But Julie asked, where did we stay? And so we stayed in Tofty, Minnesota, which is kind of like between Duluth and the border,
Canadian
which
border.
is Grand Portage.
Yeah.
It's about halfway, I think. It's called Tofty, Minnesota, and we stayed at some condos that are called Chateau Laveau.
Yeah. And if you know that area at all, it's right near Lutzen,
Yeah, which
is a big ski resort. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on the Lake Superior shore.
So that's where we stayed. And then I think the other notes I took. Oh, one other thing I wanted to bring up. Well, I'll bring that up when we talk about Angela Lansbury stuff.
Cool.
Because if you're new here, yes, there is an Angela Lansbury segment coming up. Yeah, so why don't we talk about our knitting?
Okay.
Should we talk about our predictions from last time?
Sure.
I think that makes sense to talk. We haven't. This is a new thing we're doing, so I guess it makes sense to talk about it at the beginning of the episode.
I don't remember. Did I make more than one prediction?
You made 2.
I remember one. I don't remember what the other one was.
See, this is the difference between you and me. I every day would wake up and I would be like, "Oh my God, I'm not gonna get the predictions done that I made in the last YouTube video." You, on the other hand, don't even remember the one.
I don't know.
This is
I
what
don't
an
know
anxiety
one of
brain
them.
does.
I know I did. One of them came true. The other one was for Peace on Earth.
No, it wasn't. Well, that failed.
Yeah, no, oops.
So my predictions were that I was going to have my socks done, and that I was going to have my Christmas ornament knitting planned out on graph paper.
Okay.
So both of those predictions half came true, which I will explain as we get deeper into the conversation.
Is that like, is half done like half pregnant?
It's better than half not done. Half full versus half empty.
Yeah.
Half done means I got them half done.
Okay.
Nobody asked you.
Just saying.
Okay, what were your well, you didn't even remember your predictions.
Well, I got one of my predictions all done.
Okay, do you remember your other prediction?
No.
So I remember why John doesn't remember his other prediction, and that's because he should feel very guilty.
No, I shouldn't. I should feel fine. I think the prediction was I would get some work done on that sock.
I think it was that you were going to have completed the second sock.
No, I wouldn't have predicted that because that's ridiculous.
We should have looked at it.
We should have looked at it. I'm going to say that my prediction is I will have made progress.
That wasn't your prediction. I'll go back and look, and I'll put at the bottom of the screen maybe what the prediction was.
It probably had nothing to do with your stupid sock. Probably something like
My stupid sock.
your stupid sock. Now that you've made it into like a big deal.
Why are you so mean today?
I'm not mean. I'm super nice.
I'm going to write the predictions down this time so we don't forget.
Okay, you should put them in a fortune cookie. You can open them up.
Nobody likes you, John. All right, so let's talk about knitting. So you have a finished object.
I do.
A new cast on that is already finished.
Yes.
And I have a half-finished object. And that's all I've got as far as knitting to show off.
I have progress on your stupid sock.
Wow, that's nice.
But it's not super interesting. It's like, look, it's more of the calf.
You should show it.
Okay.
That's what people are here for, is for knitting.
Okay. And then I've started a new project.
Okay, which is in your hands.
In my hands.
All right. So
we did some research.
I was right, as usual. I wasn't really right. I was really wrong.
You were, yeah.
So your predictions were
that I was going to finish the sock. I mean, start, finish, and complete a hat.
Start, finish, and complete a hat.
Yes. And that I would start on the knitted wreath.
The Aretha pattern.
The Aretha pattern, which I have not even done.
Yeah.
So, so if you're halfway done with 2 of yours and I'm all the way done with one of mine, we're tied.
Yeah, it's not a competition.
I mean, it's important to keep track of things.
I'm going to start with mine. If that's okay.
Sure.
So I am finishing up my socks that I did that were the Halloween Advent from Trilogy Yarns. Nancy did some amazing colors. She did a 15-day Advent for Halloween, which I then took the mini. There were 14 minis in a full skein, and what I did was I took the minis and did each of the minis stripes. And so this is the finished sock. This is one of the finished socks. I showed the other one before that didn't have the toe on it. So all I've got left on the other sock is the toe. But what I had to add last time was Black Flame Candle, which is the one that has sparkle in it. And then I think this was Maggot Museum. And then this is, no, is that Maggot Museum? I can't remember now. I listed all the colors out in the last episode. And then this is the toe, which was Hocus Pocus. So, yeah. So I got this sock finished. I'm super happy with it. I think it's super awesome.
I love the Black Flame Candle.
Yeah.
That one's really cool. Yeah. So do you have any left over for those mini skeins? How much you've left over? Like if you did a little block with them, how much you have left over?
Well, and that's somebody asked that, so I actually was going to talk about that. Somebody asked like how much do I have left? So obviously for the full skein, the Hocus Pocus skein,
plenty left, right?
I have basically the whole skein left. I mean, all I did was the toe on that one sock, and I've got to do the other one. But I mean, you can tell I've got like a full cake here. But so this ball is what I have left from the heel. The heel takes a little more, obviously, because you have to do the heel flap and the heel turn and the gusset decreases and all that. But this is what I have left from it would be a 20 gram mini.
Yep.
So I'm going to weigh it here. So I have half of it left. So it's 10. I have 10 grams out of the 20 left. And then for this is one where I just, okay, and then this is the ball that I have left, which came unwound a little bit. This is the ball that I have left from doing one of the stripes. And it is 15 grams.
So you could have made identical socks.
What?
You could have made it identical socks.
I could have, yeah, but I didn't want to because I wanted one pair that used everything from the ad.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So yeah, so I can either make more socks or I can use those in a blanket or something. I've got tons of minis and scraps and things that I mean, I'm sure I'll do something eventually with them, but I don't know what it'll be. So anyway, that's what I've got for that. So that's where I'm at is I've got this and then I've got this left. I've just got to do the toe for the second sock.
Yay.
So yeah.
Good job. Those are super fun.
Yeah. I'm super happy with them.
And they don't,
And I know I've said this a lot, but just for anybody who hasn't seen this or doesn't remember, what I do for my vanilla sock, and I do prefer doing vanilla socks as opposed to ones with patterns. I do the Rose City Roller pattern, but I just, instead of, in the Rose City Roller pattern, she has you just do some stockinette at the beginning that ends up rolling down to make the top of the sock. I actually just do a 2x2 rib at the top and then the leg that I want, and then I start the Rose City Roller pattern.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not too, you don't see those and they don't look like Halloween socks.
Well, I think they do.
I mean, they're not like...
But I want them to. You don't think that looks like a Halloween sock?
I mean, a little bit, but it's,
I mean,
you could.
I guess you could wear it in November or January, and somebody wouldn't say, "Oh my God, you've got bats and pumpkins on your socks."
Exactly.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
They're Halloween redolent, but not like Halloween. Like Halloween. Right. I don't know.
This is Halloween. This is Halloween.
All right. So before we get started, I need to show people something.
Oh.
So this is my little teapot that Betty Ann got me for my birthday. It's a BB-8, and the top part is where you steep your tea, and the bottom part's a cup you can drink out of. And then when you just put it down like that.
I don't think I've seen that setup before.
It's super cute.
Where the pot and then the cup, you know?
Yeah, it's really good because it's it makes a single, maybe a little more than a single cup of tea. So thank you, Betty Ann. So, and then I also got a bunch of people in my life know me. So I got 2 gift cards, one to Trilogy Yarns, one to Lady Mem Fiber Arts, both of which were used to buy a ton of yarn today and fun accoutrements. So there'll probably be a fun unboxing next week with all that.
Who was the Trilogy Yarns gift card from?
Your mom.
Oh, it was. Okay.
She got me 2 gifts. So.
Cool. And then Jason and
Lisette got me the Lady Mem Fiber Arts.
Awesome.
And it was like cool because I ordered them this afternoon, and then Steve, the Lady Mem Fiber Arts guy, like there was one of the things they orders out of stock, and like he immediately got to it. So that was really fun.
Oh, cool. So did you have to switch it out or whatever?
No, they just give me a credit. So.
Oh, okay.
And I'll probably just, when it comes in stock, I'll just order it again. It was a set of stitch markers that had like numbers on them, and I was very excited about those because that's one of the things that it's something that could take a horrible task and make it a little less horrible. Well, make it a little more fun. I mean, it's not like counting. You still have to count your stitches, but it makes it a little more like this is 100. Yeah, whimsy, fun, directions. All right. So I'll actually go into this is one of my acquisitions. All right, this is from Trilogy Yarns. This is from her Pride and Prejudice yarn club. I think it's a 3 skein club, and this is Mr. Darcy.
Because last week you showed
Elizabeth.
Okay,
so this is Mr. Darcy, kind of a blue with sort of undertones, a little bit of green and whatever that is. Black undertones. And this is Elizabeth, which is kind of a purple. So I was kind of hoping they'd be like more of a contrast, because my plan was to make mittens with color work using these 2. But I don't think these would go well as high contrast colors.
Right.
They're beautiful, but they're just not that kind of relationship. Mr. Darcy, Elizabeth Bennet. All
right. So, okay, I'm going to pretend like you weren't making little voices with the yarn and keep going. So this is I think the most recent from the sock club, because I'm in the sock, yarn club. I'm in the sock yarn club from Trilogy Yarns. And this is Mostly Dead. That was obviously October's.
So what's the theme of your Princess Bride, right?
Oh, Princess Bride, yes. Princess Bride, yes. I forgot about that.
I was like, otherwise, Mostly Dead, of course.
Yeah, so I think it's another cool pattern that I could use for
socks,
Halloween socks if I wanted.
Fun. I like the mini that comes with it.
Yeah. So I really love it. It's perfect.
Good.
All right. So, so why don't you go next?
Sure.
With your hat.
My hat. So, this is fun. So, this is kind of a fun thing about knitting. So, this is a hat. It's called Here it is. It is Wheat City. It is a pattern by a designer called October Evening. Who,
by the way, has really cool stuff.
Yeah. So we got this hat because we went to the Manitoba Fiber Festival 2 years ago.
I think it was.
they had designers create special patterns kind of for the festival. And somehow I ended up entering a drawing and winning a free one of those patterns. And so this is the one I bought with my free thing. I also made a pair of gloves from that set of patterns too. So this is called Wheat City. So yeah, and she has a lot of really cool hat patterns. Yay! And I made it with the yarn is Ravenswood Fibre Arts.
Oh, I remember this because those now that you've blocked it,
yeah,
it's
wheat.
Wheat.
Yeah. So and
what do they call those? Is it ears? I've heard them called ears.
Ears? No.
I've heard them called ears before.
Okay.
But yeah.
So yeah, and then I used this Ravenswood Fibre Arts colorway. It's worsted weight, and the colorway is called Bent Neck Lady, which is a reference to Haunting of Hill House. So it's just funny.
Which was a TV show on Netflix, or a series on.
Yeah. So it's just kind
Netflix.
of funny because this hat reminds me of Manitoba Fiber Festival. This yarn reminds me of going to Yarnover last year, a year and a half ago, whenever that was.
It was winter. I remember
winter, but and we actually Ravenswood Fibre Arts had a booth there, and that's where I bought this.
Right.
So I'm just like, yay! So anyway, this is the first in the series of what I'm calling the hats for our neighbors. So yeah, I started it, I think, Friday.
So have you counted how many hats you're going to have to knit?
Well, you're going to knit some too.
Oh, I am.
You said you wanted to.
Well, I did, but I didn't know if because there's not a project plan, I don't know what my tasks are.
No.
They've been assigned to me in my deadlines.
Oh, honey. It's so cute you think I'd have those things.
Oh, no, that's good. Okay, well then yeah.
So what I've been doing is kind of like going...
How long did that take you? 2 days?
Yeah, I started it Friday.
Yeah.
So...
once I get these socks done, maybe I'll put my scarf thing, not finish that, and focus on the hats.
Yeah. And so what I'm doing is I'm just going through... I mean, the thing is that I love hats. I think when I first started knitting...
you did such a good job with this. I'm sorry. It's just when you've shown it to me before, it's like full disclosure. This weekend, I am trying to wean myself off caffeine, not permanently, but just like to scale back a little bit. And so I've kind of been in a haze all weekend. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of, and plus something about the lighting. I'm able to see it a little better. Mm-hmm. But it's
the full spectrum ring light. Makes it beautiful.
It's really Jenny's gonna love this.
Yeah. So it's one of those things, like I have all these hat patterns that I've like favorited over the years because I see a hat pattern I stick in my queue. My queue's like 40% hat patterns. And obviously, I think I said last time, we have a lot of hats already. So, and then this is, this hat is awesome, and I love it. It was fun to knit. Lots of knitting through the back loop. But this isn't something I would wear. It's just not.
And see, I would.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not in that color, but yeah, that's going to be great.
It is. And what's fun about this is so this sort of like the ear of wheat, whatever it is. This is all done with yarn overs and decreases.
Oh, it's not cables.
No, it's no cables. So it's actually kind of fun because like it's one of those things like this looks like cables to me when I see it. Absolutely. But it's actually lace work.
Yeah, because it's got holes in it.
Yeah, it's got the holes in it. I don't know if you can sort of see if you hold it up. But and then I really like how the top looks too. Yeah. It was really, really fun to knit. And it's funny, when I first looked at the pattern like 2 years ago, I was like, oh gosh, I thought it was cables, so I got excited because I love cables. And then I saw it was all yarn overs and through the knit stuff together and blah blah. It's like, ugh. But it was really, really fun.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so this is October Evening is the designer.
October Evening.
We put all of our patterns and everything in the description of our video.
She has some really great hats, some really great mittens. I found a pair of mittens I want to knit. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry, I
need to find I should knit one for Nate.
Nate too?
No, Nate won.
We already did one for Nate 1.
Well, no, I mean for Christmas.
This isn't a Christmas. This is a neighbor. This isn't a Christmas thing.
Oh, it's not?
No, this is just kind of winter appreciation.
So when do we give them to them?
When they're done.
Oh.
Yeah, this is a non-holiday thing. This is just I want to knit hats.
I thought we were trying to knit 14 hats by Christmas
no.
or something.
No.
That would be sense.
That'd be awful.
So I've knit one for Nate already.
Yeah, that would be no fun because we probably would be knitting once I count up everyone.
Like 14.
14, which that would just be no fun. Yeah. I mean, yes, we're in quarantine, but we're not, Yeah. I do want to use my fingers for something else, for other stuff.
Gotcha.
So anyway, I would highly recommend this hat. It is just very unique, very cool. And again, it took me a day and a half, maybe 2.
Talk about the pom-pom.
Oh, yeah. So one of the things...
Wait, I'm sorry for interrupting. I thought that you did buy yarn. I mean, okay. How do I phrase this? When you bought that pattern, I remember us walking around Manitoba Fiber Festival and you looking for yarn to knit that pattern. Did you buy yarn?
No.
Okay, because you were looking for like a goldenrod color because it's wheat or whatever, but this is beautiful.
This is beautiful. I think the one that I've seen and their original sort of one was like a natural fiber dyed in onion skins.
That's what it was.
That's
what it was,
yeah. But I love this color pink. It's pink, right? Pink purple.
Yeah. It's one of those weird in between colors.
But it just sort of reminded me how much. Number one, I don't know what the deal is. I love Leaving Them Fiber Arts. I love their bases. I love their tonals, basically their tonals and their specs, and just the colors are really cool. And I love their bases. So, thank you very much. It's like one of those things. Like it's just super fun to knit with. So yeah,
cool.
Oh yeah, and so that's the reset button.
That was John's version of rewind.
So one of the things that I ordered from as part of the birthday stash is a faux fur pom-pom that will go with this. Because I was going to make one, but Scott's like, get a fun poofy one. And so I'm going to go. It's like a white with little purple specks in it. So I think it'll be really cute. That should come in the next day or two. So I will put that on there. We can display it when it's completely finished.
Right. Makes sense. Okay.
Yay!
Okay.
So, and then
talk about the next.
The other thing is like I feel like I have one of the things about hats is they take about. So this is 100 grams. This was 100 grams, and now it is about 40 grams.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of probably 40-gram things of yarn. So I want to figure out something.
You know what you could do?
What?
Is do the rib, the what's that called? The brim in one color.
Yeah.
And then the body in that.
Mm-hmm. Or do stripes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was looking through our yarn. So our yarn stash is kind of in several little categories. You have the full skeins. We have the acrylic. And then we have basically partials.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of Ziploc bags with about 40 grams of DK or worsted weight yarn. So I'm trying to figure out like what would be a fun thing to do with all of those. Like I was thinking like maybe like a crazy sweater. Although I don't know.
I think that you could do...
I don't want to do a blanket because I know I'm not going to do a blanket.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me...
I have started like 6 blankets.
Yeah.
Well, 1, maybe 2.
I don't think I would ever just sit down and knit a blanket.
Yeah.
Because it would take 9,000 years. But I love crocheting blankets. I've done that. I think I will probably do the pattern that Bakery Bears Kate Jones has done, where it's square. I think it's mitered square. It's a mitered square blanket.
Yep, I've seen those.
And she makes, I think it's 9 by 9, and then she has a border around it, and then those make the squares. And I think I would do that because it might take 10 years to do it, but that's a way to use up the
stuff,
the leftovers of fingering weight yarn.
I was thinking you could also do like
That's 2 cups of yarn. I mean, 2 cups of tea.
2 cups of tea. You could also use it for intarsia. Like, you know that sweater that I want to make that's got the llama on it?
Yeah.
So you could do it with something like that.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Speaking of which, I need to show you this, and maybe I'll try to put a picture in, but I was looking for Christmas ornaments, and I found a reindeer sweater that Arne and Carlos did.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. It is so cool.
Is it?
I'll have to show it to you.
Cool. Is it like abstract, or is it like severe Norwegian?
It's not severe Norwegian.
Okay.
It's like a plain sweater, and then it's got like a cartoony, whimsical drawing of a reindeer on it.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, I might have to do that.
Yeah.
All right, so why don't you tell us about your next hat?
Sure. Anyway, I did some story about when I first started knitting. Someone told me that hats are the most fun thing in the world to knit, and I agree. But we can cut that out. So the next one I'm doing is...
Besides socks are the best thing to knit. Anyway.
So this is a pattern I've wanted to knit for a while. So this is a colorwork hat called Seeds. It is a Brooklyn tweed pattern, and it's basically a colorwork hat.
Designed by Jared Flood.
And this is from, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when Brooklyn Tweed had a little meet and greet.
No, it was a class.
It's a class. No.
Yeah.
No, it was more like I can't remember. They talked about stuff. It wasn't really a class. It was more.
Wasn't? Okay.
It was more talking about Brooklyn Tweed and stuff.
Oh yeah, because I was gonna go to it.
Yeah, and then you were out of town or something.
Yeah, I had to go out of town or something, and then that was where you got to meet Ross.
Yep.
From
Smells Like Yarn.
Smells Like Yarn, yeah.
So anyway, I'm starting that out. That's going to be for Greg, and so I just started it. And so this is kind of fun. So it's always
do you happen to have your swatches with?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I'd like to show
So number one, it's always a little terrifying when you're in hats and they're so small at the beginning. I'm like, how in
They're all scrunched.
They're all scrunched up. I'm like, how is it going to fit on anyone's head? Luckily, we know people with a wide range of head sizes, so I'm not so worried about that.
Right.
So just started that and then spent the morning swatching this because I'm glad I did. So what the pattern will look like, I don't know if y'all can see this or not.
We might have to take a close
look. This is the sort of color work pattern of the stripes. So that's what it's going to look like eventually with the gray. I'm
so proud of you. You held it up and you held it still. That makes it so much easier for me to edit.
So yeah, with the gray and the 2 blues. So.
Because it's a 3-color colorwork.
Yes,
pattern.
which I have never done a 3-color colorwork pattern. Although it's not quite Fair Isle.
It's not 3 on one line.
No. You're basically carrying up 3 strands of yarn and doing different. I'm going to totally put yarn in my tea. So this is my first swatch, which I did I did a full chart of the colorwork chart just to see what it looks like. To actually make sure I could do it was the other thing. And this was too big. This was on the needle sizes they wanted. And so then I did a second one, which is kind of the same thing, but
it's with only 2 colors.
With 2 colors. So I'm like, whether I use 1 color or 3 colors doesn't make a difference in the swatch. So this is the actual correct swatch size.
So how many needles did you have to go down?
2. So it's
so crazy how much you.
So this is on 5s.
Yeah.
This is what they recommended 5s, and this is on 3s.
Yeah.
And so the rib is on 2s.
It's crazy.
I know. I don't know why. I wonder if it's because I knit. I think a lot of people knit with the tips, and I tend to knit. Wow. Anyway, so this is my hat for next week. Here are the 3 cakes. This is the gray, which is the main color, and then the...
Jeez Louise, these are so cool.
I know. So here's the deal. I have always been a little dubious about Brooklyn Tweed and how, people rave about it. Love it, love it, love it. And, but I do like knitting with this. It's really, really nice. It's funny because I've started this before, and I've always been like, but I'm really liking it. So it's just something about the heft of it, for lack of a better word.
Well, it's woolen spun.
Yeah.
Which is one thing, instead of being
I don't know.
the other one
Yeah.
was.
So ironically enough, the whole presentation was all about like how we spin our wool, and I don't know what woolen spun means.
Yeah, I don't know technically what it means, but I know that there's woolen spun, and then there's worsted spun.
Sure.
I think is the other one, but because like this is worsted and spun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. I'm not gonna say it correctly.
But it is kind of fun because it like when you have to break it, it just pulls apart in a very different way because it's
Yeah,
it's
that's
very
one reason you have to be careful with it. As far as like not knitting to, like you can't like pull it because it's gonna.
Oh
come
yeah,
apart,
for sure.
You know,
the other thing I've noticed is that if I'm not careful when I've been twisting the yarns together, the twisted yarns become very fond of one another really quickly.
Yeah.
So they have to be pulled apart and stuff like that.
Yeah, because all you have to do is get them wet and then they're spliced together.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm very excited about this. It's going to be a little. So the Wheat City was worsted weight yarn, and this is going to take a little bit longer because it's a little bit smaller yarn.
Is it DK?
I don't know what it is. Whatever shelter is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm knitting on 3s, so probably not.
Yeah.
Although it says
it's not fingering.
It's not fingering. It might be sport weight.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's shelter. Okay. It's its own little thing.
Does it shelter? You have one of the labels in there?
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Brooklyn, Tweed Shelter. It's 275 yards.
Fingering weight.
Really?
That's what it says, because it's not 100 grams. Oh no, you're not knitting with shelter. You're knitting with loft.
Oh. Never mind.
I'm glad you talked so much about how much you love knitting with shelter.
Well, I love knitting with loft, apparently.
And girl, I ain't cutting that out.
It's okay.
What I should do is go back and record you saying loft, and then like
put it on over.
I just really loving knitting with loft.
So this is American Targhee Columbia wool, whatever that means.
Targhee is the breed, and then Columbia is where the sheep exist. Is Columbia?
I mean, it's from Wyoming. It's sourced from Johnson County, Wyoming, whatever that means.
We have to stop talking now because we're sounding dumb.
We always sound dumb. That's kind of... We are happy to admit what we don't know.
That's true.
Especially around knitting, because there are people who are much better at this. And
I'm that way at work, too, and people are always like, Scott, it's so refreshing when you're like not taking credit for other people's work or it's acting like you know everything.
It's too much effort sometimes. Anyway, so...
All right, so do you have any more knitting to show?
I'm going to show your sock, your stupid sock.
Okay.
So anyway, this is Scott's sock. This is the full one. This is where I am now. Ta-doo.
And the pattern is...
Cabin.
The Cabin Socks by Ravenswood Fibre.
Yes. And this is yarn by Ravenswood Fibre. This is...
Birch is the light one.
Birch is the light one, and Autumn Sonata. No, it's not Autumn Sonata.
Autumn Sonata.
Autumn Drive. Autumn Sonata is a Ingmar Bergman film.
Oh my gosh.
But that was all I could think of when I said. I knew it was Autumn something.
I feel like Todd would appreciate that, and that's the only other person that's watching this that would appreciate that.
It's about an aging violinist played by Liv Ullmann.
Okay,
Anyway.
You're nerding out.
I think. I get them confused. Anyway.
Thank you so much for knitting me a pair of socks.
I know. It's almost done.
We had snow today, but it melted, so I can't complain that I don't have thick socks to wear outside yet.
I know.
The snow melted.
I feel so bad for you. I have thick socks that you've made me.
I know.
So, anyway, this is a good... Now that we're on the cuff, calf, leg, it's a good TV knitting project. So, anywho, so that is what we are doing
All right,
knitting.
so is it time to talk about our best friend yet?
I think so. There's no Betty Ann update.
No.
Although I've had some stirrings, but I'm going to have to track down some rumors before we confirm stuff. So.
All right, well, it's time to talk about Angela Lansbury.
Yay.
So our Angela Lansbury movie for the week, The Private Affairs of Bellamy.
Yes.
Starring George Saunders and Angela Lansbury.
Yes.
So let's walk through our
list.
Our list. And first things first, people have talked, several people have asked in the comments, where do we watch the movie? So we try to say, we've not been consistent 100% of the time, but we try to say where you can watch it.
Yeah.
This one was not available on a streaming service. John got it from the library.
Yeah. Which makes me sad because I felt this was a really good movie. And it's like been restored. So from the original.
Yeah, the quality was
Quality's
amazing.
Great. So anyway, but that's neither here nor there.
Carrie, from Creative Obsession podcast, we knit with her on Thursdays.
Oh, right.
She said that there's a service called Canopy.
Okay.
That you can stream through from your library.
Right, but they have to have a streaming version of it.
Oh, okay. Well, she said it's one thing that we could also check for.
Yeah.
Which I'd never heard of that. Canopy with a K.
Cool.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this one you had to get from the
Hennepin County Library.
Hennepin County Library.
I think it's overdue now. But because of, I think, the pandemic, they're being super nice about not charging people.
There's probably a line of people waiting to check out The Private Affairs of Bellamy.
Well, maybe there will be now. It's a good movie.
All right, so let's walk through our Angela Lansbury checklist.
Okay.
She got second billing.
She did.
There was knitting.
In
fact,
so there was knitting. Angela Lansbury is not knitting, but knitting was actually used to make a character point.
Yes.
So we'll show the little.
She used that style of knitting that I can't remember what people have referred to it as, but it's
cottage knitting.
It's cottage. Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Which how you can tell they're not actually French.
Right. So anyway.
Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to?
No, I want to go through the checklist.
Okay.
Oh wait, what do you mean? Do I want to check? Do I want to?
Well, we'll talk. Okay, so there was knitting in the movie.
Yeah.
But Angela Lansbury did not knit.
Correct. There was a cat in the movie.
There was a cat in the movie,
but it was not harmed.
Well, I mean, it was living in a bar and it had kittens. So I don't know how.
And there was loud music.
There was loud music, so I'm not sure how great its life was. But whatever.
And I'm not sure what the point of that cat was.
I think it was to show that it was a rustic. They were in that bar and they were that sort of like
the White Queen.
Yeah, the kind of like she was dressed up like a servant and they're dancing. It's like they were slumming it, kind of in the lower decks of the Titanic.
Got it. All right, and then
she plays her age.
She did not die.
And she did not die. So yeah, those are our big.
So she wasn't murdered or killed in some horrible way.
Yeah.
So, and I don't have anything written down here. I don't know why I keep looking at this.
We saw the movie 2 hours ago. So I think we're okay.
Yes.
So what did you think of the movie?
I liked the movie. I was concerned with like the first half of the movie. I was concerned that there wasn't going to be much of a captivating plot because so much of the first half of the movie was setting up his relationships with all the different people in the movie, which probably says more about the time that the movie was made, not so much about the quality of the movie.
Right.
Movies were differently paced and differently structured in the 40s. This was a 1946 film. So it was based on was it a novel?
Or a novella, I think.
By Guy de Maupassant. And I thought the acting was great. I thought George Saunders was a dick.
So George Saunders was in it. He was a dick.
Yep.
That was kind of the point. He always
played... a cad. A roulette.
He was a scoundrel.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just goes around and basically treats everyone in his life not well. and Angela Lansbury is the woman he could have found love with had he not been so interested in being ambitious and getting money.
Right.
So it's really good. I thought he was really good. I always like him and everything. I would like to see
what was the other one we saw him in? Wasn't he in?
He was in Picture of Dorian Gray.
Picture of Dorian Gray.
Same director.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's also in Samson and Delilah.
Oh, right.
And he's from All About Eve. He's the gossip columnist. So I would like to see a movie where George Saunders plays a nice person. I've just never seen it. It's like, you know.
The other thing, I didn't recognize that it was the same director. Who was the director? You're cheating.
Lewin?
Anyway.
Albert Lewin.
Albert Lewin. Or Albert Lewin or something.
Albert Lewin. This is not a French person, I'm pretty sure.
So, I did not realize that it was the same director as The Picture of Dorian Gray. However, it had the same thing where there was a picture that was important. Well, it wasn't really important in this movie, but there was a big scene with a big famous painting. And they...
when it was a black and white movie, when they did the close-up of the picture, it went all color.
Just like in The Picture of Dorian Gray.
Yeah.
So, talk a little bit about the woman at the bar, the bartender.
Oh, yeah. So it was done really cool. There were a couple of shots where they went into the Foyer Bergère. I can't remember. What's
Follies
Bergère. And there's a really famous painting by, I think, Manet, of this woman at the bar, and she is standing like this. She has a black dress on. You can see her mirror in the back. And so they actually replicate that picture in one of the scenes. In a really kind of like, it's there. You're like, oh.
In a throwaway
kind of way, which that's kind of pretty
Yeah, because
cool.
I didn't know that painting.
Yeah.
But you did. Mm-hmm. So you pointed it out, and then I looked up the painting. And I was like, wow. Because what's interesting is in the movie, she's shot from the side, but in the painting, she's shot dead on. So.
Yeah. I'm sorry we have not
I think Harris is telling us that we're going to have to wrap this up.
I don't think we did. I think we're good. Harris might have had a day where he was not played with enough today, I don't think.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was a very cynical movie.
That's what I wanted to talk about.
In a way that only French movies can be. I mean, not French movies, but French source movies can be. Like, it was just like people were having affairs and people were blackmailing each other, and there was like all sorts about money, and it was like, eh.
Well, one of the things I thought was interesting was that he had this new idea for a column in the paper, where he was going to make up rumors about important famous people in Paris, and he was going to manipulate the politics and the stock market and all these things through these fake things that he was going to make up in these articles.
It's the origin story of the blind item.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was,
which I'm assuming is actually probably true, right? That would be something that...
I just was fascinated. I was just kind of like, wow, this day and age, not even national news do we as a society even think is not biased in one way or another.
Yeah.
And back then it was like this new concept to have a gossip column that wasn't necessarily true.
Right. So yeah. So he was good. Angela Lansbury was really good. She was like, it was interesting because she was supposed to be like the good person, but like she wasn't so cloyingly good you're like tired of her, right?
Right.
She was just a person,
right,
who loved him and he loved her, but he liked money more.
Yeah. And
position and power.
Yeah, but it was terribly cynical.
But like
is that true of a lot of Guy de Maupassant?
Yeah. Okay. It's very sexy, very cynical. Like the whole thing where the wife's the first one she's married, she's like, here's the deal, we're gonna be married, but I'm gonna definitely screw around, and you should stay out of it. So.
Yeah, I'm assuming that was cutting edge. I know that's not the right word, but like that was unique for the 1880s, which is when the movie was set. Mm-hmm. Was that cutting edge for the late 40s.
Oh yeah,
for a woman to say
in a Hollywood movie. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
that's one of the things that I kind of wish that some of these movies I was watching in a film class, because someone could put those movies in context and say, this would have been really shocking for a female character. Because I feel like
she doesn't die. Like, that's the other thing. Like, you could have the woman, and she's not portrayed as evil. She's just portrayed as, like, opportunistic, and, like, you're like, she's like, I don't love you, but we'd make a good team, and let's get married, but just so you know, I'm going to have my side pieces.
Right.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
Very French.
The other thing that was interesting was how the movie played with age and the difference in age between some of the married couples and things like that. Because at one point, he's wooing the woman who was married to the owner of the newspaper, and then he ends up going after her daughter.
Right.
So
what did he say about the older one's like, I just lit a fire in a sooty old chimney?
Yeah, he just lit a fire in a sooty old chimney. And then he said something about, I got scratched by an old cat.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that woman is the woman, so the woman who is the newspaper owner's wife, she's the woman who's knitting.
Yes.
And they make a comment, oh, look at Madame blah, 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 she's knitting. And
we're going to put it
We'll put it up. And they say, she's knitting so hard, there must be something wrong with her life.
Well, that's not it at all. So I don't want to put it, I'll cut that out, because it was, she's knitting so fast, she's trying to work out a problem.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't remember.
Yeah.
The woman knitting is his wife. She's always knitting. The pretty girl at the window is their daughter, Suzanne.
Madame Walter knits too fast. There's some trouble locked up in her.
Perhaps.
So anyway, that was the knitting content in the movie.
Yeah. So the last thing I want to talk about before wrapping up.
Okay, we should start next week.
Oh yes. Sorry, I always forget that part.
Oh my goodness. That's because you don't have a plan.
Next week you've got it upside down.
Next week. So this is even, I think, harder to get than that one. So this is called, I did order this off Amazon. It's a DVD. So this is called Something for Everyone, and stars Angela Lansbury and Michael York. And it is a kind of a black comedy about this sort of degenerate Austrian Harris. So this is going to have a lot of like jump cuts. It's because our dog here
wants lots of attention.
Look at him. Hey Harris, say hi to your audience.
Yeah, say hi to your fans.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
So, I don't remember. So we'll start over again. So the movie,
degenerate Austrian.
Yeah, the movie is Something for Everyone, and it is from 1970. And so Angela Lansbury plays this like countess from this degenerate Austrian aristocratic family. And then Michael York plays this footman who comes around and apparently goes in and seduces everybody. I think boys and girls. So I'm very excited about that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So it's supposed to be pretty funny. And directed by Harold Prince. Interesting.
Who's that?
He is a director. He directed a lot of Sondheim stuff. He directed Sweeney Todd.
Oh, okay.
Based on the celebrated classic novel The Cook by Henry Cressing.
Harry Cressing.
So anyway...
all right, so you might have to...
So I don't think unless you can find this at your library, I don't know if this can be really easily found. So...
Maybe people can find it on YouTube?
Maybe. I mean, this is pretty obscure. And maybe once we watch, if someone wants it, we can mail it to them. They can watch it. I mean, we're not going to watch this more than once. So...
Yeah. The other thing we could do is kind of do more of a book report type of this one next time.
Oh, where we just sort of talk through it and do a little more
the plot.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, Anyway, I'm excited about this, and then I think after this we'll go back to the streaming stuff.
Yeah, the stuff that people can easily get.
All right.
All right, so I want to talk a little bit about Christmas ornaments because I talked about the fact that my prediction for next week was that I wanted to get my planning for and I've got my little grid here. I've got everything laid out, but I haven't picked out my ornaments. So a lot of people mentioned that Arne and Carlos are doing
Is it an ornament along?
Ornament along.
Okay.
And I think they're for miniature ornaments or small ornaments, kind of related to their book that they released, I think, about 15, 20 years ago called 55 Christmas Balls to Knit. I did buy that book.
Oh.
Because I want to knit some of those because my first attempt at Christmas balls, they ended up looking like potatoes.
No, but the ones you did where you put them around the plastic or glass form are great.
Yeah, those turned out well. But anyway, I'm going to try these. And then, Oh, Valentina commented that we should do the F-bomb. Have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
It's a Christmas ornament. It doesn't have to be a Christmas ornament, but it can be, and it's a black sphere, and it has F on it. So it's
nice.
An F-bomb. I'm going to probably do one of those for Betty Ann.
That's
a pattern by Jennifer Spockrank, so I did buy that, or I don't remember if there was a Sheila F. commented, and there was Stiarna, I think is how you say it. It's I think that's Norwegian for star, maybe. But there's a Stiarna pattern by Carolina Eckerdal, which I'm really excited to try. And then Never Not Gnoming by Sarah Shira.
Is that a gnome?
There's some little gnomes. I'm going to do Christmas gnomes, I think. I'm going to try those too. So Pearl Girl, Jen, and Chari Fisher, they were a couple people that mentioned doing the Arne and Carlos Christmas things, and there were other people who mentioned it too. I just didn't happen to write their names down. So I've got some good
leads on
suggestions.
ornaments.
Yes, so
Good.
I'm excited to try those and show those off over the next few podcasts.
Great.
All right, so goals for next week.
This stresses me out. No, it doesn't. I don't care. I'm going to carry over a goal from last week, which is...
Can't do that.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Aretha. I'm going to work on Aretha.
Oh, okay, yeah, you can do that.
I'm not going to do one Aretha. And then I am going to start a pair of mittens.
Okay. Mine is, I'm going to finish the socks, which was my goal from last week, but I'm going to finish my socks, and I'm going to have at least one ornament to show.
Good. And I will have progress on my hat. I just don't know if it's going to be done yet because the yarn is so tiny.
Yeah.
That
It'll take a
loft,
while.
shelter, whatever it is. Loft.
We got to remember to take Harris's collar off next time.
That's all right. People seem to be amused by the jingle jangle. So with the mics, I think we're better.
It's true.
So.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for spending time with us. We're going to be back next week. It'll be Thanksgiving week, but we ain't got nothing going on.
We have days off.
Yeah.
So all right.
Talk to you later.
Bye.